We begin our story with a town decorated to the brim for Christmas. A girl named Cindy encounters a figure in a Santa Claus outfit standing up in her living room the night before Christmas. And while you'd expect this to be the real Santa delivering presents, the fella she sees in front of her is doing the exact opposite by ruining her presents. Instead of screaming, she gives him a pendant and tells him that she has forgiven him. Except that's not what completely went down. Soon enough, her mother rushes into the room and sees her daughter with a figure. She calls him a monster and begins to whack him with a metal Tin Man decoration. The Tin Man falls from her and the creature mistakenly pushes her. She falls on her neck and lodges into a sharp nail on the Tin Man, killing her instantly. At this point, things go south and Cindy concludes that the creature is a monster. 20 years later, Cindy returns to the town with her father as prescribed by her therapist, and there, they encounter a police officer named Burke. They stay in the house where her mother died, and it affects Cindy because she starts having nightmares on the first night. The next morning, she is at a cafe where she encounters Burke and the sheriff. The mayor of the town is also seen. They discuss, and Cindy has flashbacks of when the sheriff was investigating her mother's death and did not believe her claims of seeing a monster. Her father walks in and complains about the town not selling Christmas decorations and all the housing being bare. Burke replies that the town's people are not really into Christmas. When they get home, they bring out old Christmas decorations and decorate the whole house. A while later, Cindy takes out the trash, and the same monster sneaks into the house. This time around, he stabs her father to death, and not long after, Cindy finds her father's dead body. She wakes up in a hospital, frantic and crying. She tries to explain what she saw, but the sheriff blames it on grief, and the nurse claims that she is bordering on psychosis. The mayor visits her in the hospital, and a few days later, she attends her father's funeral before returning home. At home, while cleaning the bloodstains, she finds a flower and does some research on it. Cindy finds that the flower is from the mountains bordering their town, Newville. At this point, she's determined to find out more. So she goes up to the mountains to take pictures, but ends up falling into a cave where she finds a man's wallet. She takes the wallet and continues to take pictures until she sees a man and a woman being attacked by the monster. She goes there and stones the monster till it runs away. Because of this encounter, Cindy finally manages to get a clear image of the monster and has a blurred picture too. She shows it to the sheriff and questions the attacked woman, who says she had not seen anything. The sheriff asks her to go home. He tells her that he cannot investigate because the mountains are federal property and out of his jurisdiction. She gives the wallet to Burke to run a search on it. In a diner, a group of people all dressed as Santa, coming from a Santa convention, order drinks and crack jokes. They're all having fun, but they have no idea they are laughing at the last jokes they'll ever hear, because they are eventually massacred by the monster in gruesome ways, and of course, Cindy sees it on the news. Later that evening, she encounters a man named Doc. He tells her that he has seen the monster and that it killed his wife. He named it the Mean One. He tells her how he has been hunting it for years and how the monster hates Christmas. She goes to the sheriff to tell him, and he calls Doc crazy and tells her to stop digging. She then prints pictures of her blurred image of the monster and pastes it around town. The mayor, Margie McBean, sees the images and tells the sheriff to stop Cindy. So she visits the sheriff in his office and blatantly asks him to conceal the truth for the good of their town. Apparently, she just wants a stable town and is ready to keep hiding the truth, even if it means that the town is being ravaged by a monster. At another restaurant, the chef mistakenly gets a package of Christmas items and rings the jingle bells. He calls the delivery boy to come retrieve the package, but he is attacked by the Mean One, who uses a butcher knife to dissect his head and keep it in a box as a present. Unfortunately, the clueless delivery boy carries the package and leaves. Cindy has a dream of the Mean One hurting Burke, so she decides to hunt him down. She prepares, learns how to shoot a gun, makes bombs, works out, and sets traps. she talks to Burke, and he decides to go out into the mountain to investigate. Burke finds wallets of people and dead bodies. He hides under a blanket and throws a toy to distract the monster. He sees the mean one and narrowly escapes. Outside the cave, he meets Doc. Doc tells him to go home and hide without noise if he wants to make it to New Year's. He runs searches on the people whose wallets he found. He sees that they were all declared missing and around Christmas time. He compiles his findings and goes to Cindy's house to tell her. He tells her that all the missing people were all hikers on that mountain, and he says that there is a website run that persuades tourists to go to the mountain. He finds that the website is run by the mayor. He sees her house filled with weapons. Upon asking, she says she is hunting the mean one. He asks her not to, but she refuses. Meanwhile, the sheriff goes to the mayor's house and finds her packing up into her car. She claims that she is going on holiday to her sister's house. He pressures her for them to tell the truth about the mean one, that they have been luring hikers there in order to feed him, but she refuses. On his way back to the station, he encounters Doc trying to drive while drunk and arrests him. The mayor is seen on a lonely road when her car stops, and then her radio starts playing Christmas music. Her efforts to stop the music are futile. The music attracts the mean one, who comes to kill her by using the boot of her car to slam her head repeatedly until her head is severed from her body. Burke confronts the sheriff in front of Doc. The sheriff admits to knowing about the mean one and the killings. He tells them that he tried to feed it with animals, but the next year, the monster only wanted human blood. He claims to have kept the town safe. He admits to having planned with the mayor. Burke tells them that he is going to the mountain to save Cindy. The sheriff, after pressure from Doc, drops the key to the cell with him and leaves. Cindy, at her house, is accosted by Doc, who tells her that Burke has gone to the mountains to save her. They both rush to the cave. Burke, on getting there, walks around the cave with a torch. He sings Christmas songs to attract the mean one, but in the process, his leg then gets caught in a bear trap. He stretches to get his gun, but to no avail. The mean one stalks towards him to attack, but the sheriff, out of nowhere, shoots it. Then he helps Burke up and takes him to the cave's entrance. He goes back in and says he wants to kill the mean one. Cindy and Doc find Burke at the door of the cave, and they try to drag the sheriff out of the cave with his hand, but they find that it has been severed from his body. They take Burke to the hospital, and Doc and Cindy devise a plan to kill the mean one. They start the Christmas music at her house to lure the monster there. She covers herself with a blanket and pretends to be asleep. The mean one approaches her, and she shoots him. Doc, who set up a position outside with a sniper, shoots from outside. The monster disappears and goes outside to attack Doc. Cindy saves him and goes back inside to finish off the monster. They struggle and fight until she sets him ablaze. At the last moment, when she is meant to lodge a knife into his chest, she finds her pendant that she gave him as a child and begins to cry. She shows him love, and the narrator says that his heart grew thrice its size. We hear frantic heartbeats until his heart explodes and he dies. Not long after, the town is restored to its former Christmas cheer, and stories of the mean one trend around the world, so people set out into the mountains to find it themselves. As the story comes to an end, Cindy and Burke are walking side by side through the town. He tells her how the federal government wiped away every evidence of the mean one from them. He talks about the town being safe, and the movie ends with the two finding themselves under the mistletoe.